I'm going to talk about how I built a translation and transcription service using TypeSpec and AI and deployed it in Azure. So I'll demo the service for you, but the process that I followed is too long and involved to reproduce here. So I'm going to talk through the steps I followed instead. So this project uses TypeSpec for API design and code generation, as well as various AI models for fleshing out the initial code generated from TypeSpec. To give you some background, my mother-in-law from Estonia recorded a conversation with her parents on cassette about their experiences during World War II. The recording was in Estonian, so I digitized the audio and I used Azure Cognitive Services to translate it to English, and I transcribed it for the family. And at the time, I thought it would be awesome to have a service that does this automatically. Now that we have code generation from TypeSpec and state-of-the-art AI models, I decided to build a service. So let me start by walking you through the user journey for this service. So that's over here. So first, we start with payment. So a user starts by making a payment for a translation. They enter their contact information and select the service they want, either transcription or transcription plus audio synthesis. After they've paid, users are taken to an upload screen where they can choose the input and output languages of the audio and upload their file. So once the audio is uploaded to blob storage, they're notified of completion and told to check for an email once the translation is complete. Meanwhile, in the cloud, the backend code processes the translation and transcription using Azure Cognitive Services. So once that's all done, the user gets an email when the process is complete with a download link to access the translated and transcribed artifacts. So that's the user journey. So I started with that. And once I had that, I began with a literal conversation with ChatGPT using the voice chat feature to get help creating an API spec based on the user journey. The API has 3 routes. So I described the user journey and I asked the AI to generate a description of the API, including operations, models, request and response bodies, basically everything I would need to describe the API. At the end of the conversation, I had a complete API spec in text form. I then used Copilot to take that spec and generate TypeSpec code from the spec. I specifically asked for the code to be modularized by routes, models, and errors. It produced TypeSpec code for me that covered the API. And I have some of that over here that I'll show you. So here's the models. Now, the code that it generated wasn't perfect, and here's the routes, but it was a start. It was like a pretty good start, and I was able to take that and import it into a TypeSpec project in VS Code, like you see here, and I was able to fix it up myself using some, like basically GitHub Copilot helped me fix a lot of stuff, and then I fixed some stuff myself. So then once I had a clean TypeSpec file, then I generated client and server code in C# and TypeScript. And so once I had that scaffolding code, I asked Copilot to write a Python script, which is right here. This Python script finds all the source files and copies them into a markdown file. So now I've got a markdown file with all the source, and I don't know if I have that up here, but it's basically, oh, I don't have one handy, but it's basically a markdown file that has all the source code in it that was generated. And I took that that markdown file, and I went back to, basically in this case, I went and used ChatGPT, the internal ChatGPT clone that I maintain. And I did that because the context window that supports is much larger than Copilot. So I took that, I put it in there, I explained what I wanted to do basically with the service, and I asked for help writing the backend code. So then with Azure, I went and set up blob storage, cognitive services, and communication services for email. So the AI helped me build the code, but it kind of fell down when it came to writing code to access a cognitive services and then email services. So in both cases, I went outside of AI or anything and found working examples of how to use these services, took that sample code and used it to seed the AI with. And once I had that, then it could generate correct code for me. So once the backend was working locally, I deployed it to Azure as a web app. I also followed pretty much the same process of generating source code or using generated source code and sharing it with the AI and asked it to build a CLI client. So now that's basically gets us to where we are here. All right, so this is the original audio. Let's just say, for the sake of the demo, that this audio records the final words of my sweet abuelita Lupita.
En caso de una verdadera emergencia, debes tener suficiente tequila y limas guardadas para hacer margaritas.
Could you hear that?
Yes.
I take it by the laughter you could, so that's good. All right, so if only I could understand what ancient wisdom she was passing on to me.
I love it.
Well, now I can. All right, so now we are going to simulate a payment. So this is the client that is going to ping the endpoint. You can see I've got the API endpoint, and this is going to be a payment operation. I specify my email address and the amount I'm supposed to pay, what I want, and we're going to launch that into the cloud. So the payment gets processed. I get a user ID back that the client would then take and save for the next step, which would be uploading the audio. And so that's getting uploaded to blob storage, and on the back end, the service is taking care of running the translation and transcription, and then I receive a payment receipt email. So let's check that out. So I got the payment receipt, and when the translation is done, I will get another email telling me the audio translation is done. And so we can just look at this previous one because it's the same thing. So I'm going to download the artifacts and open the file with the downloaded artifacts, and let's see what we got.
In case of a true emergency, you should have enough tequila and limes saved to make margaritas.
Yes, my old abuelita was a wise woman. So given how much AI is involved here, you might wonder if TypeSpec is needed at all. And to that, I would say it's absolutely a crucial piece of this project. It served as the blueprint and foundation for the API design, making the development process more efficient and structured, in my opinion. The analogy I've been using is to think of building a house. You could ask a builder to build a house for you, and with no further instruction, they might come up with something, but it may not be anything like what you had in mind. However, if you provide the builder with a detailed blueprint, the builder can create a house that matches your vision. In this analogy, TypeSpec is the blueprint and the scaffolded code is the foundation. With these in place, the AI can help build the rest of the house, or in this case, the service. So that wraps up the demo of how I use TypeSpec and AI to build a translation and transcription service.